All right, hello, hello, hello. So played a little bit of career earlier. Just gonna do some workshop to right now. Gonna go and work on some builds. So just kind of zip zap around, get some builds working. Want to get some things done. Did a little bit of build in the end of the career build series episode. Made a crane. I'm gonna try to do a new player career build series episode on that at some point, just for add-ons. But figured work on some stuff. I want to keep working on this helicopter. My game time's limited, so I have 9 million ideas I want to work on. So I'm trying to focus, get finished with something before moving on the next. So um, let's go ahead and work on the helicopter. We might work on a couple of different things, but start trying to maybe get some paint in this helicopter, get some of these modules. So one thing I did not fix it from the career build series episode was the vulture module. This is going to end up doing some. It's going to sit empty in itself for a while, and because of that, I want this to stay active. So we're going to put a keep active on there. And where do I want to put it? Right there is fine. Keep active block will just keep it from despawning. So when a vehicle, keep active marking block. When on a vehicle, the vehicle will not despawn when out of range. So what's happened is once we get far enough away from this container, it stops being in the world, and that causes it to end up despawning. So, and then it doesn't keep emptying fuel. So. All right, some things from today's operation of the helicopter. Going to keep trying to improve. So one is gear. Let's spawn it real quick. Without that fuel module, you notice it sits a little bit into the ground, but not too much. Once we put that fuel module on there, it will go quite a bit into the ground because the fuel module is very heavy. So we'll spawn it with the fuel module on there. And you can see how much it sits in the ground. So we're going to go ahead and fix that. I do kind of want to keep the gear retractable, so we'll have to play with that. So we're going to grab it without the module first. Be back and forth, just because I want to save the helicopter separately. The other thing is with the folding gear, these wheels come up into this well here. And so I'm trying to think, I either want to put more casters on there. Let's start with that. That's one thing we can do. Oh, good. I'm glad symmetry is not on. That's real helpful. Get symmetry on. All right, and we'll grab some casters here. All right, putting casters on there. You'll see what it looks like when it sits. Okay, I gotta fix that. So it's actually sitting on the suspension. It's not supposed to sit on the suspension. It's supposed to sit on. It's supposed to be hard mounted, and then the suspension's just for looks. Let's see what a piston looks like in there. Piston might be the point where a piston will fit. No. Piston's close, but it's not gonna fit. Alright, so that's right where the suspension is there. And then we're just going to delete that out. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Should be the same color, these two, because that way it makes it one fewer movable piece. And then the suspension is just for looks. It doesn't do anything. I find hard axles just work better on most things. There we go. And then let's just give that a look. There we go. So that sits better anyway. And then go ahead and we'll put the module in. That should not have any problems when I put that in. Let's go ahead and save this. We'll do it as today's date. And then that is what, 29? All right, that's good. And then we'll add the module in. All right, so you see it doesn't go into the ground at all now. It's much more stable. One of the things is the making it so that the module can join up is going to be interesting. That was one of the things I was thinking of pistons. Let's try pistons, see if we can get that to work. First thing, let's do this though. And then I want to put this on jack stands, and we're going to do a gear. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to swing the gear. I also want to fill this block in here. There we go. All right, we'll swing the gear, and we'll see how these settle. Because I have a essentially a distance sensor on there for this to run, so I gotta select something on that. Rad out min gear retraction, we'll change that to 0, and now they'll be able to spin. They'll be able to rotate. All right, so that's that works pretty well there. Not digging the suspension where it's at, so let's go like this. So we'd have to go up 1. What we'll do is this. Move those out a little bit. And we'll just combine those. That just makes them a little bit stronger. As they'll be one part together, they won't be able to twist as much because they're joined. Alright, so now those are together. And then let's see what I can add for... I don't think I have any space left in here. No, not really. Just want to make sure that didn't move. See where is actually this being commanded by? It's being commanded by, yeah, this panel here. All right, fuel, gear enunciator panel. Let's see if I have a space or something. Okay, that's the noise for the enunciator. Rotor clutch, gear, rad out. All right, let's see. What's that? Fuel, number 2 fuel. Gear, avail RPS, okay. Jet turbine controller. This one is gyro. See where I have an extra spot. Hydraulic panel have a spot on it? Nope, screw. Let's see. That one could have a composite. That's about all that will fit. What about you? That's Basics Car. Why is that called Basics Car? This is the coaxial rotor. Alright, that's got a different name now. Okay, this here is sticking out. You can see it. because it's not merged. That's why it's falling through. Okay, I was wondering why one of my gauges isn't working. It was because it didn't get merged and it's falling through. So that's fixed now. All right, let's see. That is lights, and I believe lights doesn't. Lights has space, so doesn't have a pass through though. Let's see. Nope, doesn't have a pass through. But lights has plenty of spots. Trying to find an open panel spot here. That's one of the doors. Gyro door. That's turbine controller, annunciator panel. I thought I had more panels for this. All right, let's see where the connections go for this. So the pass-through goes to there and then out. Lights just takes a pickup there. There is a way I can do this without changing this. So this right now is 0, essentially. And then it's 1, -1. These are going to +1. If I can invert these, then it will send the same signal to the pistons. But I need the sitting position, so that's a problem. Let's put it on the ground, see what it looks like sitting a little bit tall. That's actually not too bad. I kind of like it sitting forward. Because if it's going to roll, it's going to roll forward, so that's fine. Okay, I do want to be able to control them again because part of this piston business is me trying to get them to be able to attach to the modules. So I do need to work on this. Need a spot though. This is ugly. All right, let's look at their spacing here. All right, this can definitely grow. This can move. So let's go ahead and move. This is for speed, so that can move. That can go out here. That's fine right there. That will work. Yeah, I have no issue with that being right. Right there is better. All right, so that moves there. Then this can grow by quite a bit, and I can add whatever I need because this panel allows me to put a bunch of stuff on if I need it. So go ahead and do that because I want to be able to, I'll show you in a second why. So by going in and adding this, we need to be able to grab the module. So I have gear, and then we'll do number output main legs. And then I'll be able to squat this for the to pick up a container. All right, so what we want to do is an up-down counter. I don't really want to go greater than where it's at. So max can be 0, min's going to be -1. We'll enable a clamp. We'll go 0.01. That's good. That will go to the main legs. We'll do an OR for now. Or we'll go to the down. Okay, good. And then if we go ahead and we actuate the gear, let's find gear. So if we do, it's going to be gear. If the gear is 0, where's that going? It's going to pass through for the gear indicator light. Okay, so if it's 0, it's going to go ahead and increase it. And then there'll be a couple conditions where they will go down more. One of them will be if this is set to 1, pretty much this condition here. And then the other condition will be if we want to lower it to pick up the container. So I'll have to figure out a way to do that. Probably be an external panel. Yeah, let's make it an external panel. Let's see. Let's see. Module. And eventually I can make this probably a Lewis at some place. But what we'll do is we will make it essentially 1, 2 for up and down there. All right. So that will be, if we want to lower it down, will be 2. 1 will be up. So to lower will be, Shiza, will be that. Okay, and that will be there. Okay, I got this screwed up here right now. Okay, if it's 0, I want them to go, no, that's, okay. Okay, if it's 1, okay, this here is gonna lower the legs for retraction. Okay, so that's lower the legs. So 2 is gonna be lower. 1 is gonna be raise. Look like that. All right, so then we'll put a panel on there where we'll be able to connect the that, and then we'll have release module. That'll come off this. So it'll be there. That will show a gauge with this. So we'll write, okay, I'd have to send something out. That's fine, I get the space. All right, there we go. All right, so we'll make this 4. Make that 4. That'll be to release the module. And then we'll read this out to 3. All right. Now that's good. Then we're going to come over here and write here. All right, this is going to be I might do a raised legs. Raise body. Arrow button up push 1. Raise fuselage. Position. The gauge. Vertical. -1, 0, 2. 3 is going to be lower fuselage. Arrow button down, push 3. This is going to be lease module. Button toggle 4. Okay. All right, and then we want to do That's going to go back to it. I got to change some numbers here. Let's go ahead and right there, main legs. These need to be electrified there. That's good. And then I got to change some stuff in here. All right, so it's not going to be 3. It's going to be 2. That looks good, I think. This is going to be 3. All right, good. We still have another row of 3 if we need it. All right, so let's go ahead and test this out. All right, so now if we want to lower it to pick up the module, we need electricity. So let's go turn on the battery master there. All right, and now lower fuselage. Okay. Alright, so that's not working. And then let's look at this real quick. Okay, I gotta put the release on that too. Alright, let's look at it. Alright, something's up there. Alright, main legs. And then I need to do the release. Okay, that needs to go on there. Look at this. 0.01 enabled. -1 is going to be the max, the minimum. Then that's fine. That is, let's make sure that got connected. Module control panel 1 or 0. Okay, 0 is going to increase it. Okay, so that's the problem. So I can change this here to a Boolean function here. And so what it's got to be is it's got to be let's see. It's because it's constantly pushing 0 and then it's making it so this doesn't work. So what we want to do is get rid of that OR right now, and then we'll play with this here. All right, so we want this to go to 0 position when the gear is down. Let me see. we can fix this by when the gear is set to 0, it just resets. Do that instead. Try that. Yep, this is going to be easier. Alright, so we want to lower the fuselage. Not doing shit. What the hell? Let's try power. It could just be the power. I didn't turn the power on. Okay. Nope, that's not doing it. All right, let's fix the switch real quick, and then we'll add in the other functions. So the reason I want this, when the gear retracts, I want it also to go all the way to 0. So, oh, I know what it is. Okay, I know what I did. Okay. I've got it on the increase there. This should be here. Raise fuselage, that's lower fuselage, and then that's going to be, let's do this first, and then I'll add in the other functionality from the gear in a second. I just want to make sure I can get these to lower. So when I want to grab the, fuck me, what the hell? How's that still screwed up? Really, I don't get it. Let's try that real quick. I don't know if I hooked that, probably didn't. Nope. Okay, let's hook that up. Make sure I merge that sucker. Definitely merged it. All right, let's add the release module. All right. Main legs. Let's keep it real simple right now. All right. 1 is going to raise the fuselage by dropping the legs. 3 is going to do that, and then this reset's screwing me here right now. All right, so I got to fix this, and then I'll come up with a way to fix this. All right, so that lowers down, so should be able to grab, we'll see if it grabs a module. That's why I deleted all that other stuff, as I'm trying to test the module here. So let's go ahead and we'll load the module. Okay, I didn't actually fucking load it. That's not helpful. Okay, so there it is. I got to paste it. Now it's loaded. All right. All right, so there it's sitting with the module. So we're going to put the module on the ground. We're going to lower the fuselage till it's on the ground. Okay, good. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to disconnect it. All right, it's on the ground. Now we're going to go ahead and raise up. All right, and this was a problem I had when I was playing career, was I couldn't reconnect my module. All right. So I need to be able to reconnect that module. That's one thing to do, is raise it up, because it has moved up already because of the leg length. So go ahead and put it on the ground. It's on the ground. Release the module. Okay, the module's on the ground. Now we can lower. Try to grab it. Go down just a little bit more. Okay. Trying to see how far off we are. A little bit forward. Probably this side. There we go. All right, so that grabs the module. Then we raise it up. I don't want that. Don't want the piston doing that, sticking through the sides. that's a problem. Okay. Make it more palletized there so we can lift it with something else too. Alright, good. So that's got the module grabbable there. That's very heavy, so... That's good. That makes it so that I can grab this module and drop it so that I can put it down on the ground. Alright, that's good. I like that. Alright, nice. So that gives me a grabbable module there. I don't like that look that coming through there. Alright, so we got a bunch of things to do. I'm going to start making a list of what I have to do. Alright, so one of the things I want to do to this build is brakes. Alright, brakes. Variable. And park. Alright, variable and park brakes I need on this. Paint, of course. Paint. Screens. Modules. Alright. So we can get some of this accomplished here. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. Daniel and Citrus, good to see you guys. Let me refresh the chat on... yeah, this chat wasn't coming through, so... on OBS. So I'm just going to go to YouTube. I don't give a shit about Twitch at the moment. So... Restream's been annoying lately, so I just put YouTube up. If you guys could just give me a chat again, see if it shows up on OBS. Appreciate it. Thanks. All right, so that's good. And then let's do a fold. We want to make sure this folds correctly. So let's go ahead and we'll get rid of the module. If I can find my cursor, there it is. Okay. All right, and then so let's work on the logic. So we got that going. All right, so the buttons are working. Now I need to add it in. So when we raise, so when the landing gear comes up, let's see, composite 20 and this. So that's this or this. Let's see. That should also raise it up. Let's put some jack stands on it, and then we can do a quick swing for raising, and then we'll do lowering. All right, so see, they retract. I'll make sure they look good when they go all the way up. Yep, so they sit nicely there in front of the engines. I like it. That looks good. All right, good. So that works. And then when I extend them, I need to fix the parts so they also extend. I'm going to probably double the gear retraction speed, so let's do that. or the gear movement speed. It's not just retraction, it's extension and retraction. So where's that? That's here. We got 0.01, so this is going to be 0, 001. We'll make it 002. All right, and then when we go ahead and should be able to just knot this. No, it's not going to do that. Can I do it on a pulse? What's the reset value? Is 0. Okay, so when I go ahead and I cycle the switch, let's try this real quick. I shouldn't have deleted the ore. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll do 1. No. Let's go ahead and do a pulse. So we'll tap 1 out when it does this. Okay. All right, so the gear comes up, I think, at a better rate now. See if I can reach it so I can see this sucker. All right, so what I was hoping is that it would pulse when we flip the switch and then drop the gear. All right, so it pulsed it there. Okay, so it's... Okay, and let's see if they go down on this one. There we go. All right, that works. And then if I raise it up like that, I swing the gear, that's fine. If I put them back down, yep, so that works. It sends a pulse through, and that will reset the position there, and then I can manually control them. So if I put them in any position here, like that's an intermediary position, they're going to go back down to full. Perfect. So that works out. That'll be good. So that way I can come back here and I can actively control drop my module. I'm going to make a ICAS or a multifunction display page at some point for the module control. How did it go with the autopilot Lua monitor? Oh, it was good. I'll show it to you when I get a second there, Citrus. Yeah, the new update is awesome. Good to see you guys, Daniel and Citrus. Thanks for checking out the chat there. Restream's a pain in the ass half the time, and I'm so sick of Twitch, I might just stop restreaming and just. But I gotta re-look at how to just stream YouTube because it's been so long since I've just done YouTube. All right, good. So that's done. Get that go. Brakes. I need to work on brakes. So normally what I do, let's see, just check the seat real quick. Thrust, that's gone. So what's going to happen is rotor brake's gone. All right, start, stop's gone. So normally what I do is trigger, it right now is auto hover. That's going to go on the autopilot panel. Shit. I don't have much space for autopilot in here. That's a big panel. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do. Actually, it got smaller. Let me play with that. That's actually a good spot there, seeing Citrus brought that up. Let's look at that, Citrus. I don't have one hooked up for my helicopter yet, shit. Because I got a helicopter as a whole is a whole different machine. Yeah, I gotta look at that. But generally, what I do is the autopilot panel. When you press autopilot, it engages the auto hover without a mode. So, gotta play with that. So this has. Here, I'll show you the autopilot panel, Citrus. I put it on here. This is up and running on here. Not gonna go flying with it, but we'll just kick some stuff on here. That's nope, that's the old one. Where the fuck is the new one? Is this the new one? Let's see. Did I not run a test with this? Let's see. Yeah, I'll show you that autopilot panel on here, and then I don't need to hook it up to the vehicle. But this is the latest and the greatest one. So got looping heading. And then autopilot heading. Nav altitude, and then this is the altimeter setting, or the altitude select knob. Right there. So that's the new, latest, and greatest autopilot panel. Let's go in here, and this, I think, is my new autopilot panel. Yeah. It's got everything? No. Yes, this is it. This is a full autopilot panel. All right, let's see if I can see. I can really shrink it now because of the new update, so. Yeah, this new update is fantastic. Because let's go through the update here for those who don't know. So anything on a different layer I can stack over each other. So composite is one layer, data is another. So I couldn't stack these two because they're both data nodes, but this is a video that goes on as well. There's a data on a composite, data on a composite. There's a data on a composite. Now, all of those that were taking up all that space, now it looks like that for an autopilot panel. And that gives me, theoretically, I don't need another video input, but I could theoretically do, you know, I could at least stack two more and then one under that. So that's a lot of space. So that's really helpful. All right, let's go ahead and, I think this already has everything out of there. Let's look real quick here. Make sure this has the right Lua code in it. I think it does. It should be this here. All right, let's go ahead and update this. Let's save this where it belongs. I really need to start foldering everything again. Lua work, and I'll put the date. Lua work, and then what's the day? 29 all day. All right, and then we're gonna grab a copy of that. That's actually small enough now that it should fit pretty well, so. Because, yeah, that's pretty damn tiny now, so. for an autopilot panel. Ideally, I can get the bearing panel in there too, but let's go video. On there, I don't think I have a, no, I do have a physics sensor, 100% I do. Right here, somewhere, right there, physics sensor. Physics sensor, here's a seat combiner, that's just in case I combine the seats. That is AP pass-through, bearing micro, AP monitor touch goes here. So like some of these can even be deleted off too if I needed to. Try to streamline everything. So here's this is the thing is I've got to go to the gyro, but first I have to go to, because this is coaxial. Coaxial is coming from, okay, that's coming from the gyro going into the coax and up. So these will go to where they belong. So roll to gyro. Okay. That's yaw to gyro. It's going to be pitch to gyro. Collective, I have to add on there. That's gyro there for the auto hover. And then I need to add collective. All right, collective. That should be where up here. Okay, collective's right here. So I just need to edit this up because presently the way that it does altitude hold is with pitch, and especially seeing this isn't a helicopter that goes forward at high speeds, I'm pretty much just going to be using the collective for the altitude hold. So here is the pitch off the altitude hold. And then what I can see if I can do, we'll see. Those are max descent rate, climb rates. I'm going to go ahead and do direct collective there. And we'll that's 2 there. That's feet per minute. Okay, so this can pretty much come over here. Go like that. That's fine. Let's see if that fixes us up and cleans us up to where we need to be. So where's up, down? Collective's right here. That's going to go to up, down. All right, let's go ahead, and I need to make sure this is plumbed in. That should be turned on when we turn on all our shit there. Yep, it is. Okay, let's go ahead and give it a test run with autopilot. So again, I still am in the middle of process of doing this, but there it is there. We'll go play with this real quick. So, all right, fuel valve comes on, engine start. All right, we're gonna run with one engine. We don't need both engines because we're only, yeah, we only need one engine because we're light. Okay, and so part of this is I need to get the space bar, which was auto hover. That's generally what I do for variable braking. And it's progressive, so if I hold it for a long time, I get more brake, and then if I let go of it, I get less brake. So I want the helicopter to tilt forward like it's currently doing. And part of that is that if it's gonna, like, see how it's going on its own forward, I want it to go forward. I don't want it to be going backwards. Alright, something got fucked up here with the coax. Alright, let me look at that. Something screwy. Alright, let's see what happened. Alright, 2 off of seat combiner. Where's seat combiner? Nope, that's physics sensor. Is this off the physics sensor? That's off the physics sensor. That's my problem right there. Okay. This was supposed to be off the pitch. There's C combiner right here. I'm looking for the pitch node. That's right here. So this right here is going to go there. Let's see. That's fine. That's going to give us maximum pitch, and I want collective. Actually, I should be able to run collective directly off of there and take this out of there for now, and then we'll go like this. Difference between how an airplane changes altitude and how a helicopter changes altitude. So that should hopefully fix that. And then one thing we should be able to check here is let's get some power to the bird, and let's press autopilot, which I do need to make it so that it colors different when it's selected. I thought I had finished that, but I guess I didn't. All right, now the gyro should have auto hover is true. That's what we want, so it's on there now. And that was getting a button free, so I could fix that. All right, so we need to go fuel valve on the left engine. Start the left engine. Rotor brake is coming off. Nav beacon strobe logo landing light. There's my vulture lit up. We're going to go ahead and we'll do Gen 1 on and Hydraulic 1 on. That's Hydraulic 1 there. Hydraulic really doesn't do anything. It pumps fluid. You'll see the number come up. See it go up. Not doing anything right now, but it will. I can start the second engine. Let's start the second engine, get this spun up, and then I'll shut it back off if I want to. That just spins the rotors up faster because instead of one engine trying to spin the rotor up, it's got both trying to spin the rotors up, so it's just quicker. Alright, so I'm not getting good collective rise on this because it's going through the autopilot and it's set for a plane, so it'd be very gentle pitch, so I need to increase the rate that this can do it because I'm not able to climb very fast and I want to do that. I'm going to let it settle itself here for a second. Put the gear up real fast. Now I should be able to shut off an engine if I wanted to because the rotors are already spun up, so just that it's a lot of work to get the rotors spun up, so. Alright, so we definitely need to on this one, and then what I'll do is, see this is a problem, I don't want to get into making I want to finish the autopilot panel, quote unquote finish, and not do the helicopter version in parallel, but I kind of have to, so currently the p-value, I really don't want to dick with the p-values right now. Let's try this, see if I can get out of doing that. And what we'll do is we'll go to, no, it's not going to do that. That's not going to work. Let's go here. All right, so this right here is the, what is that? That's the altitude set right there. And so that's our desired altitude. That is, what is this? This is the physics sensor. This is how many feet per minute. That's our process variable. Okay, so I need to do a plus. I need to do plus collective to this. And then this needs to increase. So let's go ahead to this and let's start increasing this first. Let's try that. This is messy, but let's see what we can do. It's just like testing this. This is why I didn't want to get in the autopilot of the helicopter yet, because I want to finish writing that new autopilot. But it's all right. All right, we're going to turn on AP, which activates the auto hover function. All right, so now it's still sluggish. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do what needs to be done anyway. So what happens here is the the autopilot is adding collective to my add of collective. So when I say, hey, I want to go up, it lets me go up, but it also adds the autopilot's input too. So really quickly, we just do a function, not that one. Do x plus z is fine. X plus z, collective goes there. All right, that will go like that. That's fine. And then I need to come off of this, the hell's the seat? AP monitor touch. Where's the seat? That's physics sensor. I want the actual. Where's the seat combiner right there? Seat combiner's right here. And then we want, what the hell is up down? Up down is 4. Where's this? This isn't getting 4 though. That's the problem. Okay, that's fine. I need to add 4 onto this. All right, let's go. Seat combiner. Channel 4. There we go. That will add our input. So we should be good, and then I'll have to tune in the autopilot's add later. It will slowly increase my ability to climb and descend, but I have to tune that pit in. I don't want to do that right now. All right, Gen 1's coming on. Fuel valve. Gen 2 hides 1 and 2. Rotor brake comes off. Rotor spin up. You see how much faster the rotor spins up with 2 engines running? Yeah, now you see we're controlling it fine, so. Just the autopilot's not going to do a huge add, and then I need to smooth that out a little bit. You see the rotor. That's mostly pitch, I think. I got to fix it. Looking pretty good, though. Alright, so that's auto hover on, so you see if I do a roll and I let go, it's going to automatically correct back to stop that roll and to try to stabilize us. And then if I go in here and I shut AP off, the auto hovers off, so if I go ahead to the side, it's going to keep going until I correct it. So I'm correcting it now. So this is my hands off the controls now. It's pitching forward a little bit more than I like, but I can fix that. That could be a CG change, but I can fix that as well. All right, let's put the auto hover back on. Let's see if I can get a climb out of us here. So we're currently at 104 feet. Let's go ahead and add up. I'm not doing that much. Let's do 600 feet. Autopilot's already on. We'll go altitude. Okay, so it's plenty strong, so I got to fix that. And it's doing a bunch of pitch. I don't know why it's doing pitch. I got to get rid of that. It's trying to pitch the climb, so I got to fix that. Yeah, so I do have to fix that. All right. Again, I didn't intend to get into the autopilot, but we'll play with it. Do it for a couple more seconds here. So I think the number I had in there was probably fine, which was 0.01. And then the pitch component, we got to look at that because the pitch component is now boned and I got to fix it. So that's off 2. Pitch to gyro, that's fine. This can go right now. That's all right. So let's go ahead. That looks fine. I put a new p-value in. It was way overreacting, so it's no wonder it's freaking out. And then let's go ahead and we'll do a quick test, and then I want to move on from this. Keep doing stuff I was trying to get done. Gens are on. Hides are on. All right, auto hover's on. All right, so we're gonna set to 500 altitude. All Alright, so way aggressive. Still way too aggressive. And so the problem is I think I screwed my CG a little bit. That's why it's like, it's got a pitching moment too, and it rises straight up. So you see it's doing it. It's just way too aggressive now. So like if I drop off 100 feet, it's going to overcorrect on the level off probably. That's actually doing all right there. So one thing I could do is the way I set this up, let's try to put this back in. So ideally, when you're setting a climb rate or a descent rate in an airplane, you want to set your vertical speed rate. And so normally what I would do is I would spin the altitude I want, and then I pick a vertical speed. I can also climb in speed mode, which is by climbing by the airspeed I want. It's a bunch of ways to do it, but generally, vertical speed is one of the most used ways to do it. And so what I've got set in here is if you look, that's the physics sensor 2. That's the vertical speed component. And then we're multiplying it by feet per minute so that I can get feet per minute because I just understand feet per minute better. And then I've got a correction factor in there. And let's go into the PID. And so it's saying, okay, so I want 40,000 feet, say. And this is how many feet per minute we're doing. Give me, let's see, that's a problem. That's not going to work right on this. And then, so what I had that going to is I had that going to here. And then it would clamp at max feet per minute, max descent rate. Let's try that. And what we'll do here is, okay, that's why it's pitching is, so let's go ahead and go from here. 4 there, 4 goes here. Let's try this because this now has a maxed out feet per minute inside of it. And that's going to work better. And so let's try that. So essentially I'm telling it what my max min feet per minute are. So here's max descent rate 0.5, max climb negative 1.5. Let's play with that. So essentially set my the vertical climb and descent rates that I want. Yeah, so this allows me to tune the feet per minute I want. And it's good because I put this autopilot in a number of airplanes and helicopters. And so different airplanes, right, are going to climb better than others. Some are going to climb at 4,000 feet per minute. Some are going to climb at 2,000 feet per minute. And so you can then tune it how you want. All right, so we've got 500 in there. Let's see. Should be descending. All right, so let's see. Yeah, I can't tell if they're on. All right, let's try to fix this. I've already started getting into this. Let's fix this. All right, so right here we're setting, this is the altitude we want. So we're setting the altitude we want, and it's going into the set point. This is giving me feet per minute. And so, I think what I'll do is just take out altitude on there for now. Let's see. I got to check what the altitude is on this physics sensor. Let's see. Composite there. Let's see. It's now Z position, isn't it? Or Y position. I can't remember. It's got to be Y position. It's 2, right? Does anyone remember off the top of their head altimeter? I can look right here, too, on the altimeter here. Altimeter. Physics sensor channel 2. So it is altitude on channel 2. All right, so this is going to be altitude in meters. That's converting it to feet. Put a small correction in there. That's the desired. That's fine. That's that. Then it's going into here, which is giving me... So essentially, let's look at this. This is our clamp. Negative X is going to be, because the PID's just backwards. So I could just run a negative PID value or run a negative number on there, but it's a negative PID output, and then it's clamping it between Z and W. Z is going to be the max climb rate, and that's on this W. So let's get rid of that. Let's go back to here, and I can play with the p-value. So it was too much there. Let's go ahead to 0.5. Shit. Now I gotta. Okay. I really didn't want to get into the autopilot. All right, let's go ahead and do function. What did I just do? All right, function. X plus Z. All right, that's going to read out the collective. This now needs to go to there. All right, this needs to do that. X plus Z. That's fine. That will go like that. All right, let's run that. And then I decreased it to 0.05, so it's half of the p-value. Let's see what that does for me. I know I was putting some of the vertical speed in some of the autopilots. I was trying to get that fixed. How's it going, Thermi? Good to see you. Is it Z3? Alright, so that's me climbing us. Let's go to 500 feet. 600 feet, whatever. Alright, it's too strong still. And when it gets there, it's might stop too fast. It's doing an alright job leveling off. I can't see, did it? Yeah, it's got a little bit high. It's running a little bit high. Let's go. Down's always easier because it's just reducing the blade angle. But like you see, it's still a little bit aggressive, but it's working. So I'll play with it later. So kind of like the thought process of what I want to do is you would set a range of feet per minute. And the problem is, let's say you're trying to go from 0 feet to 40,000 feet. That's a huge difference, right? So the PID's going to say, oh, well, you need all the collective in the world instantly now to make that big change. IRL, you don't want that, right? What you would want is you would set a vertical speed rate. So it might be 3,000 feet per minute. That's a pretty good climb rate. Now, as you get up higher in altitude, you would decrease that because of thinner air. But you would start with but you essentially would have a range you're willing to work in. And so what I was trying to do there with that formula is essentially I would set my minimum and my maximum feet per minute. And so I've done it before where essentially I feed a number in from the altitude hold, and then I send it to another PID which does vertical speed. So it says, hey, we want a maximum of this vertical speeds, and then it essentially double clamps. So the first PID says, hey, give them 5,000 feet per minute, and I say I only want a maximum of 3,000, so it gives me 3,000, you know, so it kind of clamps it out. All right, but this is working with the autopilot now. Okay, so the whole reason we got into the autopilot was so I could use this button. One was to show citrus. Two was to use this button so that I could change my brakes over, and that's what I want to do. And I screwed up my center of gravity somewhere in here, so that's not a bad fix. That's an easy fix. So. All right, good. So if you think that's unrealistic, the turbine spinning for that long, it isn't. I have tons of videos of like, it doesn't take much wind for the turbines to keep spinning forever until the wind stops. Like there are windy nights where we shut the engines off, the turbines keep spinning all night long. And then you get there in the morning, they're still spinning. So, because it doesn't take much between the bearings. All right, so that's good. Let's go ahead and I've got plenty of space left in this microcontroller. Let's actually bang this microcontroller all the way out to max size. And then I got to find a place for this, which could have gone here, but now it can't. So I got to find a place for that at some point. All right, let's go. So I got to add brakes. All right, that's that. And then we want to add brakes. I could actually, let's not do that right now. Let's find that overlapping node we just put in there. That can go there. Let's make it a number output. Brakes. All right, there's our brakes. And then we just need to find anywhere, shit, there's no seat component on this, is there? This is all panel. It's got to go on a different panel that has a seat input on it, because it's going to be seat. Alright, let's see. Could actually go on the autopilot panel, but I don't want to put it in there because I want to use this as my blank for autopilots. For helicopters. I gotta find a spot for this. This is gonna be what? 2x3? 2x3. Alright, let's put this back. And I gotta find a 2x3, so. So that could be a 2x3 there. What is this? That's a 2x3. This is a 2x2, so I could move that somewhere and then get that put in. So that's probably my best bet. Move this, slide the autopilot in there. So we got door here. That's because of the fairing there. I'm gonna do something here. Stand by. All right, that's gonna make some space for panels there. I like that. And I could also do it there to get some bigger stuff in if I need to. So right now we've got this one here, which is what? Hydraulic panel. Hydraulic panel can cut, and then we'll go right there with the hydraulic panel. All right, and then that's gonna allow the autopilot panel to come in here because I really don't want to put brakes on autopilot. I'd like to kind of keep that, and I'm also trying to get the bearing panel to also, because I'm using Lua now for a lot of this, I should be able to get that so that it's it's one panel. All right, then I got a 4x there. All right, so brakes wise, let's figure out our brakes. So the trigger, I want brakes. 6 will be park brake. Park brake. Okay, so that's park brake there. And those are both off the seat. So what we could do, let's see where I have the seat going. I might be able to get this off of something. Pretty much just to where? Autopilot, yeah, just the autopilot. So I don't want to screw with that right now. So what I'm going to do is do a new panel. And if anything I need on the seat, I'll do that. Brake panel. All right, so that's gonna be seat. Park brake. And then this will be variable. Brake. All right, good. That's in there. All right, so the seat is going to be 6. All right, that's easy. And then when we press, was it 31 for the trigger? I think it's 31 for the trigger. I think 32 is occupied. That's there. I always forget. Because I don't use that much. So it's 0.001, and then the max value of brake is 1. And then if we're not pressing that, it will 0 out. All right, that does the brake controller. All right, that goes to the seat. That's going to go to the mains. And then variables will go to the mains. Trigger will be a push, not a toggle. This will be a toggle for park brake. All right. Because it's also important, I can easily push this for loading up containers, or modules, rather. I keep saying containers, I mean modules. So I just tapped it, and we stopped, and then if we press 6, we've got park brake. See, we're locked up there. All right, that's good. Yep, definitely the nerds. All right, let me catch up with some chat. Yeah, Z was what it originally was, and they changed it, I think. Yeah, I think they changed it up when they did physics sensor to make Y part of the flat plane, and then Z yeah, they made it so that Z was the up down instead of part of the flat plane. All right, good. So that's good. I do like the function to be able to grab the module by lowering, doing the gear there, and then the gear will auto raise and lower as necessary. That works well. The doors, I don't want the doors going 90. I never use this door. I was even thinking of getting rid of it to put more panels, but if I need to, I'll do it. What I'm going to do with the door controllers here is... Right now, let's go to 0.75. And let's go to... Now let's see which one I like better. I don't want the door going a full 90. All right, that's 7.5. That's 8.5. I'm digging the 7.5 better, I think. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think 8.5 is better for logistics getting in and out. I like the look of the 7.5 better, but the 8.5 is I think I'll do 8.5. You know what I could do? 8. Do 8 somewhere in the middle. Split the difference. Let's do property on there. All right, that splits the difference. I like that. All right, that's good. All right, good. Let's see. All right, so brakes are done. Paint you need to do. Screens, that's going to take forever, and modules. Trying to think paint. Let's see. I'm going to look at some pictures, try to see what I want. Thinking like a silver, blue, red stripe, something like that. The problem is kind of like the nacelles need a different treatment. Let's go ahead and save it first. Did I not save a new version of this? I didn't. What? Oh, it's, you know what it is? It's 129. I saved as 119 instead of 29, so that's fine. That's these. All right, let's play with some paint colors here real quick. And then let's go. And then I was thinking it could be gold or blue. I'm thinking blue bottom, gold. Problem is this one piece of glass here. I'll make those all black anyway. This sucks here. Again, we can't change the color of this base. I could flip it, but that's annoying. I'll figure that out later. And then I'm trying to think the blue. Trying to kind of make it civvy looking. And if I can at least get the colors kind of like the different pattern that I want, I can easily, keep swapping the colors and find what I like. Trying to see what some of these colors look like in game. I want to contrast kind of on the rise, but I might just keep the paint and then I could change if I want to. I'll texture the paint later. Do that later because I'm just going to color swap out the purple for the black. Then the cells are going to be, black's too black for that. Let's see. Let's go. Yeah, it's pretty much the same silver color, so I don't want to do that. Not going to be Ficky. Lighten and known icing. Not going to be Ficky certified. Probably darken the silver up a little bit, but I want to get it done, and then I know where all my different colors are. Stop. Silver's definitely too light. I'm going to darken that up a little bit. Blue's going to go darker, I would say. But I'm liking it pretty well. I'm still playing with colors. I'll figure it out. I'm thinking, try this. Now I can switch things up a little bit more. I'm going to try... It's not quite dark enough. That's better, I'd say. That's probably better. This is so annoying. I really wish... We've been saying a lot of things that we wish them to do, and they've been doing it, so... Hopefully they'll get to it. Hopefully my headset keeps going. Fix that up real quick here. I used to shut off for some reason. All right. All right, so that's looking pretty good. You know, I have the ability, I can swap out colors later pretty easily if I need be. But I kind of got a scheme going. All right, so that's pretty good. Yeah, so let's save this. So that looks pretty good for right now. Got a bunch of the stuff fixed that I need fixed. So, seeing as it is a workshop episode, I'm trying to think what else I want to work on here. Checking an email right quick. Okay. That's looking pretty good. I'm digging it. I'll change the colors if need be, but I want to kind of get something going, you know? Get it off that's my primer color. You know, God forbid you post something to Reddit that's not finished. And everybody's going to give you a million things of like, oh, do this and this. It's like, bitch, it's a work in progress. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Most of the functionalities in there, it's working pretty well. Let's go ahead. We just saved that, so that's good. I got a picture of it. Let's think of some other things I want to work on. I don't know if I want to go and get the module going. For restream is so annoying. It's mostly Twitch is annoying, but let's see. Like, I don't even have Twitch chat up because I don't care about Twitch at this point. It's just like it's all bots. All right, let's see. What else do I want to work on here? Let's look through. So one thing I was working on earlier, if you watched the career game earlier, I made a crane. And kind of the point of the crane was, you know, you get, especially, I started the new career game, I started Spy Cakes. And Spy Cakes are a great place because you can buy diesel here, you can sell diesel there. That's a good money source. You can mine coal, which I want to get into mining early. And so that really helps that. And you can sell coal here. One of the things is it's tough to get a container when you first start and do container stuff. And I've been seeing a lot of posts too around people talking about how, oh, there used to be cranes that were in the game, the devs took them out, devs should put them back in. I'm actually not a huge fan of that, and this is why, right? So I'm going to make a video. It's going to be part of the New Player Career Build series. And so what I like to do, and what we're going to be doing in the career game a little bit is, so we have Spy Cakes and we have Dre Moore as all the base we own in career. Well, I want to move some containers from here to there. Well, it's pretty easy and cheap to build a barge and pretty easy and cheap to build a small boat or tugboat to pull and move the barge. And you can make good money doing that. The problem is loading. And so what you can do is you can come over here and you can build a crane and you can load it with the add-on editor. So I did that earlier, Spy Cakes crane. You're not going to be able to see this until I load it, but test the location, and boom, look at that. You've got the vehicles required to do what you need to do. And you don't have to buy them. It's free. So you can go ahead and you can build a crane, and you can load and offload all of your own containers. And then, okay, we've loaded up our vehicle with containers. All right, we just go in, add an editor, close the add-on editor, and bingo, they're gone. So lovely. We've got our container on our barge or on our boat. We go ahead, we head over to Komodo, and now we're ready to sell. All right. Still don't have a lot of money. We probably have even less money because some of our money's out in the world as our builds, right? And so we come over here and we see where we're going to park. And we're like, all right, well, let's say we're between here, right here, between these two bollards is where our barge is, right? We go back in the add-on editor. Again, you're not going to be able to see this when I get in there. But we'll make a new add-on. It's going to be Komodo crane. All right, we'll add new mission location. We'll look on there for Komodo. Eventually I'll find it. That's it right there. Okay. We're going to go ahead and edit objects. All right, so here we are between these two here. So let's go ahead and we'll grab our crane, add the vehicle, find the crane. Bingo, there it is. Put it right, say there. Place it where we want it. Okay, we're going to make it static. All right, then we're going to grab another vehicle. Let's say we want to move our container with our container shifter. All right, there we go. We're going to save this. It's going to be Komodo crane. We're going to load it, and we're going to test it, which is free. And there it is. All right, so now we have our crane in here. We can go ahead and we can use our crane. Completely free. And so you don't have to freak out about, oh, I don't have the knowledge or I don't have as big of a boat as necessary to be able to use a crane to get my container off of my boat onto here. You can just use these, and then again, when you're done with it, you despawn them. And so, no, the devs don't need to go in and clutter up the map with a bunch of junk like cranes and everything else. Like, even these, like, I'm not a huge fan of these because these are have potential because they have moving parts to get screwed, to get hung up, and then they lag out your game. So what's better, I think, is just put the dump areas here and let us kind of use the add-on editor and put these things in where we want. Like I have one for some of the mining that I do. All right, now they're gone. Bingo, didn't cost us a cent. I really wish I could... See, I don't know if I can segregate these trailers from the containers. That's the problem. One thing we could do... See, I don't want to keep starting builds because that's just takes up too much time. So one thing here... I'm not going to stream super late tonight, but... Like, one thing I could do with my... No, don't do that, scoundrel. One thing I could do for this current career build series is I've got plenty of barges and I have tugboats. And of course I'm like, oh, rebuild, make some new stuff. But I could take this tug, spawn this tug, and I could also take my barge. I've got plenty of barges that can haul containers. And that's probably what I'll end up doing instead of reinventing the wheel. Because again, I want to use these builds too. I built these builds. They work well. They were a lot of hours of work. It's good to work these, so I'll get these going. So if you notice here, these are 360 degrees now. So I'm trying to remember how to do this. So if we do this... So it's pretty much like that, I think, to go to the right. So we want to go, let's see. forward on both. I just need to steer with one of them essentially. So that's how you go sideways with an azopod tug. And so I'll kind of talk about the theory so you kind of know why it's going sideways. Like you see, it's going sideways. And we can steer with this one here. You know, if I want to go move my nose, so what I do is look straight ahead, and I'm going to control the nose with the with that right azopod. And you can see we're translating sideways while keeping in line over there. And then if you're going forward or back, let's go ahead and I'm going to keep turning the nose here. Let's turn the nose back a little bit. So if we look at the heading here, shit, I forget which one is controlled. I think it's the left one. Should have done this the other way. Because I can use the autopilot to keep my heading. And then I can just control the other azopod. I think it's got to be the other one. But you can see we can translate sideways. And you got to work both of them. But like I'm trying to get this heading, and then I can move this one. So like there we go. Now I'm more sideways. So I got to move both of them. But I like the practice of this. And so essentially what's happening is you're using this one on the port side is trying to push the stern. It's trying to push the stern this way towards where the camera's going, over here to the left. And so you need to counteract that movement. And so because it's trying to push the stern to port, you need the other one to push the stern to starboard, and that gives you a resultant vector, essentially, of going sideways. So you can go sideways with the azopods like this. And that's how they do it. They modulate them. So if I need to turn my nose, or my bow, rather, I'm going to use the right one. And then if I'm gaining, so if I look out to my side and I see that I'm coming forward, I can use the other one. And so, like, you know, could you probably make a controller to do this? Yes, but I don't see the desire I don't have the desire to do that, because ideally I want to be an expert on how to do this. And the only way you gain expertise in operating your equipment, doing things like going sideways, is by practice. And once you understand the mechanics of it, that my starboard, my right azopod, is for direction of where my nose is pointing. So if I want to go to the lighthouse, I'm going to go right. Then I'm going to go back to the left to stop us. All right, so now we're pointed at the lighthouse, and we still should be going sideways. So we're still going sideways, but now we're pointed at the lighthouse. So we're going to change how we're going sideways, the angle we're going sideways. You can see you can make that go sideways with a little issue there. And so it's kind of cool. I like this, you know. And then if we wanted to change forward and back, let's say we want to go more, see how we're sneaking forward? All right, so we can change that with this azopod on the left, right? So that's pushing us backwards, but we're going forward a little bit, right? So what we do is we just turn it this way, and now it's going to help us go backwards again. But every action has an equal and opposite reaction, essentially, so we need to go and we need to correct the starboard side with some more right turn to get us to maintain where our heading was pointed. So we want to go back to the lighthouse, let's say. There's the lighthouse, so we're turning towards the lighthouse, right? And now our port azopod is facing forward, so we should start going backwards more. And if you look, we're starting to gently go backwards a little bit more. Still going sideways, but we can translate forward and backwards. And you can see all the benefits of this. This allows me to, say, push the barge into the dock sideways. I don't have to use my nose. I can just push sideways. Go up and bump something with the side of the tug if I need to. So as I go left, they're actually both right because it's backwards, but let's go right, right. All right, now we're gonna correct the turn with my starboard azipod. But now I've moved my port azipod so that it is pushing backwards essentially more, and so we should start sliding rearward more towards in the case of the map, we should slide more this way. And we need to do that some more, so let's go ahead and we'll go more right this way and more right on that one. And just little motions. So again, we want to face the lighthouse the whole time. That's our goal. And then I'm going to check and see where they are thrust-wise here in a second. See if we're actually thrusting the same. So that's currently showing 7 point something, and that's showing a little bit lower. So let's bump up the right side a little bit. Let's bump up the left side a little bit. Get right around 8. So that's now 8.7-ish. This one's a little lagging behind. Let's kick this one up a little bit. There we go. We got a little bit more power going here. Let's straighten back out to the lighthouse. Actually, probably don't want the lighthouse anymore because we're further away, but we'll try to keep a heading. So let's say the heading is 270, which is west. So we'll use the right azipod to steer 270. Now, because I got the thrust up, I need to make much smaller corrections because of the, we got more power going here. I need to make much smaller corrections here, or else we're going to way overshoot, so. I'm just being gentle with stopping it. There we go, going back the other way. Alright, so we're trying to keep a heading of 270 with the starboard azipod. But pretty cool. And then if you want to spin it around, so like if you have a good 360, you kind of know where your azipods are at. So you can see this one. If we look, azipod position, if you see, this one's backwards, this one's forwards, right? So what I want to do, let's go ahead and let's head back to the dock, right? So they're both pushing forwards. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this one here, the starboard one. We're going to straighten that one out, and then we're going to go ahead and bring this one all the way around. And we should be able to get it straight here in a second. We're going to keep it at a little bit of an angle to get the turn going, and then we're going to straighten it out. And now we're going back towards the dock, right? Let's say I want to stop. Do I stop my azipods? No, I push them both out. So there's my azipods. They're both pushing outward. They're both thrusted up. We stop. Let's say I want to go backwards. Now we're going backwards. Up, forwards again. There's forwards again. That's forwards slow. Forwards medium. And forwards fast. Right, and so you can, this is why they use these type of azipods, is because you can very quickly change direction. And what slows down your directional changes is if you have to go from forward to reverse, right, that propeller has to slow down, stop, and reverse direction. Doing this, it doesn't. All I have to do is go like this to go in reverse. So I can go from forward to full reverse really fast. And there we are in full reverse really fast. And then up, I want to stop. I'm going to hit something. Bingo, we're stopped. Okay, I want to go forwards, medium speed, a little bit faster, full speed right there. Then I can increase my thrust all the way. So it's kind of cool. I like these azipods, and so it's one of the reasons why I don't want to like just throw away a tug and go build a new one. Every career build series. I do like to make new vehicles, but like some of these have been a lot of work. And I don't want to completely redo them, you know? So I forget how I even hooked these up. They must be diesel electric at this point. But we do have the new parts that are fantastic that the devs put in where we can use, do 360 degrees of rotation. That's awesome. And I really like this tugboat, so I'd like to use this more. So getting in here and actually using it will be fun for the career series. And then you pretty much just steer with one azipod. So like the autopilot here, let's look at the autopilot. Just a refresher, I'm refreshing myself and you guys on this one. So like right here, we're going, straighten it out, about 280. So let's say we want to go south, right? We want to go to the left. Well, I can steer with one azipod, and that's what you usually do, steer with one. You know, you don't need to move that fast. If you're pushing something, you might move both of them to get more push. But right now we're going, as you can see, about 180. So let's go ahead and put the autopilot on. You'll see it does the same thing. So 270, right? And then we'll do AP master. Let's see, where is, I gotta see, why is it doing that? Okay, because I haven't set it up for 360 degrees, that's why. Okay, I haven't set the autopilot up for 360 degrees. I converted this, so before we had some of these parts, what we used to have to do is we would, I'd have to go forward and reverse. And so, like, you couldn't do those things I was talking about. Like, you couldn't do this. You couldn't do, oh, stop. Because you couldn't keep the propellers moving. You had to stop them, put them in reverse. Now you can do all this stuff, so there's reverse there. So this is fun. This is, I'll probably end up start using this in the career game. And one of the things that's a good benefit is barges. Yeah, how dare I not use the eye blinding white, exactly. Yeah, that's why I like using that that purple color. It's a good kind of like, it's not an eye blinder. And so like here, let's stop here. Hopefully I don't despawn this. It's not the end of the world if I do, but... Okay, good. So like I've got a ton of barges already built, and a barge is super fast to build. And so like I've got some pretty, I wouldn't say complicated barges, but they have a lot of functionality, these barges. So like some of my newer barges, that's rocket fuel production, barge crane large. Career build new barge. That one's for landing on. I think this one here, barge career 88. This one here is a good one. So like this one here, it's got a bunch of cool features. Like it has anchors, so I can anchor it. It has an APU, so it can make its own power. It has the ability to hold fuel. It can pump its own fuel. And it can hold a container. It can also hold modules in the back like crane. So like you spawn this in, and I could put a container on this to do container missions. And because it's so wide and square, and it's got lots and lots and lots of buoyancy, it makes it super duper easy for us to use it to move containers. You know, so just like the maneuverability of the Azipod tug here, you can see how maneuverable I can get here. Alright, so now we're between the dock. I've just sent a stop signal. And we're going to do the same thing we did last time where we move this, the one that's on the side we want to go towards, the starboard side, and we're going to move that backwards. You can see it's backwards right there. And then this one here, we're going to go and we're going to move it over here. I got to make these compasses. And so that's going to counteract it, and we're just going to very gently start kicking them up. We just want to barely clutch in. Okay, let me see. I got to change this. Alright, I've got it going sideways now, but I screwed it up, so I got to turn us here. We're going to the right, which is correct, but I need to... I'm going to turn us, and then we're going to go sideways towards the barge. So there we go. See how we're going sideways now? And I can steer with that azopod. And so now we can push this barge out sideways and actually do something called hip towing. And a hip tow is when you actually put a rope on the side and you actually drive from the side like this. And we would pull it sideways like this. So that would be a hip tow. You can see how like this would be easy for us to be able to push back into the dock and get up against the dock. I'm just going to move the starboard one there a little bit. Up, I just got hooked by the anchor. I kill it so I can attach the anchor there. The anchor just grabbed me. Anchor still got me? I think the anchor still got me. That will stop them from grabbing me there. But it takes a little bit of practice to get used to this. I'll get used to it again. But I like playing with these azopods. They're a lot of fun. And it's great that we can do 360s now with the parts, because this is all sorts of stuff we couldn't do before, which is nice. You can always still do forward and reverse. So you can always spin around like this using forward and reverse. I don't know why my starboard's not going. The starboard engine's not going for some reason. Oh, I didn't push it back up, that's why. Alright. So yeah, so I'll probably end up using this barge. And then, so again, we'll use the azopods, we'll push them both out 90 degrees, right? And that stops us, right? And so now I want to go back and I want to hook up to that barge. So I'm going to maneuver with just my left azopod there to get lined up for it. And so what I'll do is I'll bring this one up and back, and now we'll start to steer a little bit. Very rusty. Push them both out to the sides. That will stop us. I'm going to steer my stern toward the... So here comes the stern turn. Alright, so we should be facing it. We are. Okay, good. Now what we want to go is both forward. That's going to back us into it slowly. Alright, and then we want to straighten them out. Like this. So now we're pretty much stopped. So just very good maneuverability on these. That's why a lot of companies went to them. They're just very maneuverable. Alright, and then we can just, like, we still have our engines spun up. They're not at full thrust, but they're spun up. And now we can start going forward to pull. I can steer with this one. There's full thrust. And they're full straightened up, so we're max speed now. So barges are a really good way to do early game stuff, just because they're very stable, they're very square, they're cheap to make, and then just have a power unit. It's also nice. You want to go sell some fuel, like we could bring fuel in a container. We could go drop the container off, then go dump fuel. We could leave the barge there, and then we could go do something else. We could do a rescue. We could do whatever. a good little tug. Bunch of tools in here for rescues. So this boat we can do plenty of rescues with. We've got the ability to sleep on this boat. So this will probably be our next boat we use in the career game. This is a bilge pump for the back. Got a crane arm there. I can put a little dinghy on board, do some other stuff with it. What's that? That is the Harbor Gen Service Panel lock. That's this. I've got them permanently affixed now because they screwed up the doors. Come up here. We can use this fire fighting nozzle. Forget where that is. There we go. Activate fire nozzle. Fire nozzle up. So yeah, I'll probably be the next one in career. If I feel like it, I might. I'm kind of feeling more like doing some career anyways right now. So what I'll probably do is take a little break. I don't feel like working on builds too much anymore tonight, and so I'll take a break, and I'll probably, I don't know if 100%, but probably come back on and maybe stream a little career. But if you guys enjoyed it, go ahead and give the video a like. If you're new and you like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys next one. Thanks for hanging out, Thermite. Thanks for hanging out, Citrus. And it's good to see all you guys. Daniel, thank you for hanging out. I'll see you guys next one.